At that point, it was illegal to tattoo in Albuquerque.
Someone had tattooed a politician's daughter and gave her this bad infection, and she made sure to make tattooing illegal in Albuquerque. And Brian Everett actually was responsible for getting it legalized, and it was all by mistake.
A lot of these people knocked them around. The tape's just gotten old and dried up. But these sheets were from the Dutchman. And it was a big deal to get sheets from the Dutchman because the Dutchman was always kind of the tattoo artist. He was, you never met him. You know, he didn't come out much. So it was rare when, and I think even when I bought those, I think I bought them from Paul Jeffries or something that had him for him, I believe. He was kind of that, and he still is. He's the behind the scenes master, you know. Very well respected by those, those that know. My name is Brian Everett. The shop is Route 66 Tattoo. It's been here 37 years at this location. I've been tattooing now, 48 years. I opened up my first shop down on 4th Street, and that was in '76 when I applied for my first license down on 4th Street. You weren't able to just go out and buy equipment like you are now. At that point, it was illegal to tattoo in Albuquerque. I was the only one in Albuquerque tattooing, and because when somebody go down to try to get a tattoo license, they wouldn't issue it to them. But before I opened up this shop, I rented, subleased an office building in an industrial park. My friend that had a motorcycle shop, Better Cycle, and I rented the back office from him and set up a nice shop there. And the health department, somebody said that I was out there. There was a guy on San Pedro at the time, and they came and shut him down for zoning issues or something. And so he told them about me, and so they came over and they told me in order to comply with zoning laws, I had to be in a C2 zone. Well, the zone I was in, almost everything was allowed. You could paint cars, you could do chemical dipping. I mean, it was, but I was like, that's what I wanted to hear. So they gave me paperwork saying to comply, I needed to be in a C2 zone. So I found this building in a C2 zone, opened up, and after I got everything opened up and set up, they came in and said they were going to shut me down and that it was illegal to tattoo in Albuquerque, which I had already known, but because they'd given me that paperwork, I took them up on complying, coming to a C2 zone. So I told them, I said, you already told me to comply. I had to be in a C2 zone. I did that, and I said, so now, if you want me to be closed, here's my attorney's name and number, give him a call, talk to him about it. And I never heard a thing. And so every time somebody else would try to get a license, they couldn't get one. And so they thought I had some special deal going on, or that I was paying somebody, or I didn't really care what they thought. I thought it was great because I had no competition for many years. And then eventually somebody opened up, and somebody else and somebody else. I started drawing when I was like 10 years old. And so I was a fairly accomplished artist before I started tattooing. I had actually worked with a famous Southwest artist, Carl von Hassler, and he's the one that painted all the murals that's inside the Chemo Theater. Matter of fact, when during the Tattoo Fiesta tattoo convention, I took a group of people down to the museum, and they had some of his original paintings in the Albuquerque Museum. So when I started doing tattooing, it was just really a matter of learning the medium, but that was pretty difficult back then. You weren't able to just go out and buy equipment like you are now. It just happened there was an old guy named Speedy Gonzalez up in Santa Fe, and he had what he called his professional kit, which was made up of a frame that was made out of like that white nylon plastic that you might have seen. They machine it sometimes when they're getting ready to make a part. They'll first make it out of that to get all their settings right. And he just wrapped wire around them to make the coils. Very, very crude. Took copper plumbing pipe to make the tubes. And then he took douchebag hose and cut it to make the handle that he'd slide over the copper tube. And then he would bend the end for an outliner and one for a shader. I tattooed with that until a point where I was going up there to get more ink. And like I said, he wasn't around, he wasn't reliable. And so his sidekick, Hawkeye, said to me, he said, you know what, you really want to do this, don't you, kid? And I said, yeah, I do. And he said, you're wasting your time with Speedy. He said, I'm going to give you a business card. These folks, the name of it is National Tattoo Supply. To this day, I owe just a whole lot of thanks to Hawkeye, because he did set me on the right course. That sign out there, it was just Fine Line Tattoo. That was the name of it. But then eventually, as I started traveling around, I saw Fine Line, Finer Line, Finer Than You Line, and I'm like, okay, enough of that. They're not on Route 66, so it's going to be Route 66 Fine Line. So most of the stuff, like I said, it's funny that people don't get more of this stuff if they knew that so many of them are famous artists, that they would have a piece of their work. You know, at this point, some of this flash, it's just not around anymore. It's one of the few places they could even come and get it, you know, and they don't even know the treasure that it is. But it's here. Judy Parker. Just this is an old Jack Rudy sheet. There's some amazing tattoo artists here in Albuquerque. I mean, I kind of trip out when I see some of the local talent. It makes me proud. It's good to see, you know. I think it's I think the Tattoo Fiesta is a testament on Albuquerque's love of tattooing, and actually even their process of tattooing, because they're getting good tattoos. They're not getting crummy tattoos. They're going to the guys that are doing some real nice ink work. So it's all a good thing. And you know, as long as I can be here, I will be here. You know, sometimes the neighborhood gets a little rough. It's always been a little on the sketchy side, and I never minded that, because a lot of people, when they go get a tattoo, they want to step out a little bit. They want to step out of their comfort zone. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. As you can see, I still keep all the flash on the walls, flash racks. Now it's more for historic reasons, because nobody comes up and picks anything off the wall, even though there's a lot of excellent tattoos. Most of these designs in here were all done by famous tattoo artists. And normally at the conventions, the different artists would be selling their flash, and that was your opportunity to kind of, you know, get a lot of different artwork on your walls. So I got a lot of cool old artist designs, you know. I got Paul Jeffries stuff, I got Bob Roberts stuff, I got a lot of Jack Rudy's stuff. I think I have everything he ever did. You know, now people think, well, you know, they're going to get something original off of Pinterest, you know, and little do they know that everybody across the world is dipping into that same little pot and pulling out the same tattoos. So they have a better chance of getting an original tattoo piece if they just pick something off the walls. But I keep it because I think it's cool. I think it's cool having that old school shop. If I'm going to be the OG, I might as well have the old G shop, right?